Good morning. Got the music back, huh? By popular request. Well, good to see everybody. I hope I hear from you all. And we are in a cold spell. It was -6 last night. I think it's way up to +4. Whew. So, yep, that's winters in the Northeast. So, the numbers are going up. I'm doing my thing. Sometimes I get a little discouraged, but keep forging on. Just like I say, don't give up. The thumbnail, he knew he was a walking dead man. When you have a gambling ring and there's tons of money, there's so many transactions going on with large amounts of money. And some of the guys thought it was easy pickings to shave a little here, shave a little there, and no one will find out. And that's another betrayal. And how some captains, how some bosses, they weren't born yesterday. They know, one way or another. And sometimes they allow. If you're making enough money, just like Vegas in the cash room, maybe it's different today, but they allowed a skim. Like, you know what? We're making enough money. The guys are good workers, and we'll allow them to grab a little. So they allowed that. They allowed the skim. Just, as long as it's an efficient business, hey, let them grab a little. They call it stealing, but they let it go. But you can't get too greedy. And so for many reasons, like I knew that some of the guys, and I would give them rides here and there, and they would gamble, they'd play cards, and they'd get fucked up. They'd get drunk. And some wouldn't talk, but some would be talking, spilling their guts. It's like, geez, this guy never talked like that before. And there was a couple of guys I really felt friendly, about as friendly as you can get. Because I like to bust the chops and, just be friendly. But they don't like to be touched. Hey, Bill, get back, because I'm nuts. I like to grab. I don't know. So, so there was a big card game, and there was security and everything, and sometimes the card games got robbed. But so I was giving the guy from the crew a ride back, and he was lit up pretty good. They drink Manhattans and all that, whatever the hell that shit is. And he's going, well, Joe, I think you should just quit helping the old man out and everything else, and trying to give me some good advice. And he says, like, he's telling me that, well, I'm a dead man, and they're gonna come up and shake everything down, and I was like, well, why? What do you mean? He's like, well, everybody's stealing, everybody's grabbing, they're not giving the old man the money, and it's getting greedy. Plus other things he probably couldn't discuss. I don't know, but he was jacked up pretty good. And I was thinking to myself, why the hell is he? Because we had a little rapport, but like I said in other videos, you really don't know where you stand day to day with some of these guys. They were degenerate gamblers. They're pissed off about missing their bats, getting these bad beats, and they had a chip on their shoulder, and you don't know where you stand day to day. And so you got to tiptoe around these guys. But he was really opening up, you're a smart guy, go do this and that, don't come up here anymore. And I said, well, I says, well, is there any way you could fix it anyway? He's like, no, the old man's going to retire. And there's it's bad news for the crew or whatever. I says, why? He goes, well, most everybody's robbing and they're not following the rules and everything else. And I was like, don't you make enough just to live a good life? I mean, if you get paid $2,000, $2,500 a week for this big operation, I mean, that's like $100,000 to $120,000 a year, tax free. Why can't you set yourself up for financial stability? And you're making these vast amounts of money and everything. Well, they're just degenerate gamblers, and they just live for today because maybe they just figured they weren't going to last anyways. So they're like, well, they like, not to be stereotypical, but the fast life, women, gambling, partying, and everything like that, which is against the Omerta rules. But so they knew, they kind of had the sense, well, their longevity, their lifespan isn't going to be that long anyways. So I was giving him a ride home, and he's giving me all this philosophy and psychology. And I felt closer to him because I thought the liquor was talking, but underneath it, he was really cerebral, and he was figuring things out. And he's going, well, I'm in deep with this other book, this other other gambling operation, and all these other guys, and I stiffed this, I stiffed that. And I says, well, you could just make amends or somehow. And then, and it was like, you can't, I could be a Monday morning quarterback and say, geez, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Because there was some of these guys had high IQs. But I think just once they took that leap of faith into that life, that they abandoned that logic and just said, it's balls to the wall, rock and roll, money, women, drugs, and however it ends, it ends. And I kind of felt bad because I'm more of a personal guy, to be friendly and everything. And it was sad when everything fell apart, and a few months later, everything was done and I was being approached. Some of these guys ended up missing. He ended up missing, and I don't know if it was his girlfriend or his wife, because my memory. And his brother approached me at a gambling joint, and they're like, I was like, I don't know, there's like, well, I says, no, I'm all done. I don't do no more favors or anything. I'm done. And I just thought right then and there, I was like, he was right. He didn't make it. And then later on, it was whatever. But it's just like, it seems like these guys have such thick skin, and I felt really bad. But can you imagine the crew? It was just business as usual for the other people. It was just business as usual. And like a week, 2 weeks later or something, when he was gone, it was the things were falling. Everything was falling to the ground, and another guy, a mutual friend, part of that crew and everything. We were getting the racing form to gamble, and I asked a couple questions, and he was like, "Jojo, what the fuck? Enough." And I'm trying to pick his brain. Blah blah blah. He's like, "Come on, what do you like what do you like here in the third race? What do you like here? What the fuck you talking about, Joe? We're gambling here. I don't." He's going on. Don't be talking crazy. And then I just eased my way out, and it was just like, when well, in effect, what had happened probably was, when I was making those runs, he was part of the guys that were trying to rob Sam's money. When you're delivering bread and milk all over the freaking Northeast corridor, and then you'd have a bullseye on your back, and they'd say, "Wow, that JoJo's a good mark for that milk and honey." And so he was part of that scheme, I believe, and just a statement to be like, and you think that, I thought he might have been one of the friendliest guys I got along with, but being a naive 20-something-year-old, it was just like, nah, if we can make a hit on him and get a large sum of money, JoJo don't mean shit. So it's like, geez, there's just totally no friendship, no loyalty, no connection. And then the new regime come in. I was done. And I heard a lot of things afterwards. And from the Brooklyn, the New York guys, well, some of those guys were New York guys, but I think they sent the Brooklyn people, the guys from New York that were a little more shady. They sent them up to Western New York and let them run things there, because maybe they had a bad resume. In retrospect, thinking maybe, they had a bad rap sheet. And they were pulling their shenanigans, and little by little, I was there for a blink of an eye period of time, and I don't know everything that led up to that segment of time, but you can guess. It's not easy to put it together. Born in Brooklyn and raised in Western New York. And hi, Mr. Swan. So it was sad in that guy, and he was cocked out of his brains. And I was saying, well, pay some of that money back, or everything, pay it back, and just get on good terms. He goes, nah, the end is coming for everyone. And he was smart like that. It's just like, And some of these guys were smart enough in the regular world, as a regular civilian, to get a college education and everything. I had degrees, and I'm trying to make extra money, and I'm doing that stupid shit. I was on the dean's list. I had degrees in everything. Big deal. I still had a stupid, crazy mind. So I can't knock them for that if they chose that type of life. But it was sad when they would just accept knowing that some guys would go on the lam and go on the run and whatever they can do. But some of them they just took it as it came. So, yeah. And I think, for as far as the old man, the boss, I think that there was nothing he could say. He was retiring, and he had some bad actors in his crew, and there was no way he could defend them. He just like, whatever happens, happens. Go retire, live out your years, and don't try to defend these guys. They're the same guys that try robbing you anyways. And just let the switch over happen, and whatever they do, they do. The guys from New York, serious guys, they run a nice, efficient business, and there's no hiccups. I mean, it's just, there were a lot of smooth operations. But it's like a daycare center where you're trying to watch the kids. So, you know, Billy, don't do that. Go back there and go in the corner and wait 5 minutes. It's like these adults, it's like an adult daycare center. And it's like, why jeopardize this money-making operation for silly shit? And it's just like, well, if you get rid of one, you get a replacement. Just like football, you get one, you bring another one up, a replacement. And are they capable and competent? Well, but in retrospect, that's crazy. And I never really got. I spent time gambling and betting horses with a couple of the guys and knew them pretty good. But for someone to open up like that, and he was like, well, I got some money buried for whatever, for my wife. And I was like, well, try to make amends and everything. But I don't know what happened. I mean, you can guess. Everyone disappeared. I don't know where the hell they went, but the crews that, if you got a crew, say in Jonestown, New York, one thing, you're an operation, you're a corporation, just do one thing, specialize in bookmaking. What is so hard about that? Make that money, invest it, buy a house. What's so hard about that? There's enough money for you to have a mansion in the suburbs. What's so hard about that? You're specializing in bookmaking. Make the money, salt some away. If you want to gamble and drug, you just use a little portion of it. But if these guys are degenerate gamblers, they're blowing their whole paychecks, plus the money they're making on the side, plus what they're borrowing from other people. And they're not only losing their paycheck, they're in deep debt. And when you're in deep debt, you don't follow the rules. So, it's easy for me to say, well, how could they do this or that? But I wouldn't have done it that way. No. If I put my neck on the line, I'm burying money. I'm going to bury money wherever it is, in the woods, in a tree. I'm going to bury money. So that's that, folks. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Leon. I just want to get a Saturday morning thing in here and talk about the personal side of, like, the guy knew it. He said, I'm all done, JoJo. And, I didn't want to accept it, but he was accepting it. And I was like, he's like, well, I made a lot of mistakes. And I said, you just pay him back. Quit drugging. Just quit gambling. Just make it back. He goes, nah, he knew a lot more stuff that I didn't know. And that there was going to be just a cleanup. There was just going to be a total cleanup. And that crew probably wasn't going to last too much longer. So, all right, folks, thanks a lot for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and all that if you want. The numbers are going up. I appreciate it. Your support and everything else. So we're in a freeze here. It's 6 degrees, and just counting the days till springtime. And so things that happen during your day, try to process them effectively, but laugh, enjoy. You got a friend, call them up, talk to them. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Life is short, all right? You don't have to be a tough guy. A good guy. A good guy is better than a tough guy. All right, folks. God bless you all.